And welcome back. We are live. It is episode 6 of the Vampire Fantasy Football Forum. And it is the beginning of the frenzy. That's right, everybody. It is draft season. As we are in the beginning of the draft season, remember, if you want to join us here at Vampire Nation, email us, vampireleaguesff@gmail.com. Reserve your spot. Be an early adopter as we are busy here building our new platform for your new fantasy league, especially in Vampire Leagues. But we will have other ones coming up. But sign up, vampireleaguesff@gmail.com. Get your spot today. Now, I want to do a little trip down memory lane for you folks. And to be clear, I think this should be a ritual that we as fantasy gamers do every year. We tend to have very short memories. Once that season of past is over, we forget the lessons that we should have learned that year. Once the season has ended, championships have been handed out, we have forgotten what we should have learned. Back in early 2021, fantasy drafters were taking Cleveland Browns on the upside that this was going to be, this was being touted by all the bubbling heads on the talk shows that this is the team. This team could go all the way. This is their year. That's right. Get on the Cleveland Browns train. This is their year. And in 2021, what happened? Well, Cleveland on paper, in August and September, we were told they were supposed to represent the AFC in the championship game. They looked really good. They had a great defense, good running backs, weapons. They added weapons. OBJ was back. Baker Mayfield was taking a step forward from what he did the past year. This team was potentially on a Super Bowl run. But come to the end of 2021, could not have been further from the truth. What happened that season? It was a disaster season for Cleveland, and they missed the playoffs entirely. So if you've just drafted your team based on all this analysis of what teams are supposed to be and how hopeful we are of them, or if you're still doing last-minute preparations for your draft and you're hopeful that the championship awaits in your future this year, let's do some thought experiments here. Let's ask ourselves, what are we wrong about? What could I be wrong about this year? What advice am I listening to that could really not be true? And am I not thinking about that way? What are the bobbleheads that are telling us all the news blurbs that come and go to and fro in the wind, what we should think about teams and players that they're probably mistaken about too? And I get it. They have more context than most of us do within NFL teams, but this is lying season. We're not going to know what's really going on until it actually happens. As we take a look around the league, I just want to point out some things that I'm thinking about. This is not an exhaustive list, and if you think it is, well, you're wrong, and you've missed the point of what we are doing here. You should take this with every team. But let's look at a team in the AFC West. This team, you ask some people, they're going to vie for the AFC Championship. Like, they're going to be the ones that win it. What if the Raiders adding Devontae Adams is not that much better? They don't get much better by just adding a stud wide receiver. I know. How could I say that? They made the playoffs last year. They were great. How could you not think they're going to be good? They added a wide receiver. And while I get they have a lot of returning players on the defensive end that made them good, and last year they performed incredibly well under a lot of different things happening that, frankly, most teams would have probably just folded, but they didn't, so good for them. But is just adding an elite wide receiver what it takes? Ask Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs went to Buffalo 2 years ago. They made it to the championship game and lost. They made it to the divisional round and lost. But is it because that they have Stephon Diggs that made them that much better? I would argue no. And I would not put the Raiders in the category that the Bills are. So I can't just by adding that wide receiver, there's so many more question marks regarding the Raiders. Their situation as a whole, I can't. They're going to be better. That they're going to compete and win the AFC West. I think they're going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be that good. I think we need to cool it on that. What if we're wrong on that? And again, I have to run it on myself. What if I'm wrong about what I just said? Could it be the other way? I'm trying to present the opposite of what we're being told. Let's go to the AFC East. What if the Dolphins aren't all hyped up as what we think they are? Yeah, sure, they added weapons. They got Hill. Man, he's so fast. He can catch any ball. They added skill players. They got Chase Edmonds. They have a new coach. It's so innovative. Yeah, the Browns had new weapons in 2021, and they were supposed to win it all. All I'm trying to say here, while something on paper looks good, just because on paper it looks good, in football terms, that doesn't mean it's going to translate to the field. Again, Miami has a new head coach, and yes, this guy comes from Kyle Shanahan. He's going to be good. He's such an offensive guy. He's great. He's not called plays before. Kyle Shanahan did. He knows what Shanahan has done. This is his first time running it. Let's also face it, Miami is in a division that they will have to run through Buffalo. Buffalo is still good. Buffalo had a heartbreaking loss last year in the divisional round, but they could have been in the Super Bowl. They should have been in the Super Bowl. Miami also has to face New England twice. And I get all the craziness that happens with New England. Oh, Bill Belichick's going to call the offense, or Matt Patricia's going to be the offensive coordinator. Everything's going to run through Bill. But Bill Belichick is still one of the best schematic coaches when you have to face him. So when the going gets tough in Miami, are they going to keep it together, or are things going to fall apart? Right now, Tyreek Hill has spent the offseason talking crap about his former teammates. If the stuff in Miami, watch it turn on his teammates. Because that coaching staff is not the same as an Andy Reid-led coaching staff. Andy Reid has been doing this a very long time. And he's had success, not with just Kansas City. He was successful in Philadelphia before he came to Kansas City. Again, we are talking the what if in the AFC South. Are we underthinking the impact of what a top-tier wide receiver loss does to a team? What about their workhorse back that comes back from injury? Can he be the same player as he's another year older? Does he take the same workload? And if he doesn't, does the team look the same? While the Titans finished overall with the best record in the AFC last year, what if they're not as good this year? What if Treylon Burks can't be A.J. Brown? The same could be said for the Cardinals in Arizona. What if they take a step back this year? Hopkins is out for 6 games. They added Marquise Brown, but they lost other players. Situations around them have changed. What if they take a step back? What if, on the opposite side, the Eagles take a leap forward? But a leap. And have added enough that they are way better than we expect. What if the Lions come out and surprise us? And wait, what if they got a playoff spot? What if they're that good? Again, this is not an exhaustive list. While we hear stories of what, quote unquote, should happen, air quotes of what should happen in football, what should happen doesn't often happen. The ball is not perfectly round. When it bounces, it goes in a spot that we don't know. And we're left trying to guess. Games can be left off of a tip or a bounce that we can't know. So I want to end real quick on this thought experiment. And I'm going to give 5 very, very, very bold predictions. I am putting this out here now too, so I can claim, right, I'm going to come back and say I was right. If I'm wrong, though, where can I learn? Where can I get better? As a fantasy gamer, we should always understand where can we get better, where did we miss? Where also did we see it right and why? Understand that. All right. Bold prediction number 1. I alluded to this earlier. The Detroit Lions will make the playoffs. What? That's crazy. The Lions suck. You don't want to be in Detroit. If anyway, you don't want to be in the Detroit of the AFC, Jacksonville either, but definitely not Detroit. I know it's crazy. But while we hear about how difficult the AFC schedule is and what a gauntlet the AFC is going to be, we don't hear about that in the NFC. I think Detroit has rebuilt in a very quick manner this team, and they are a good team. There are still some things that they have to resolve, yes. But that doesn't mean that I don't think they take a massive step forward. And as a wild card, make the playoffs this year. That's one. Bold prediction number 2. And this one's even hotter, bolder than number 1. The Denver Broncos will not make the playoffs this year. I know. Send all the hate messages to those fans. Anybody who sees, well, how can you see that? You're just crazy. The AFC West, as we all know, is loaded from top to bottom. Every single team will be a gauntlet this year. Going through the AFC West is going to be rough for all teams in the West. No team in the AFC West has gone through more changes this offseason than the Denver Broncos. The team has a new owner. It has a new head coach, staff, and has a new quarterback. Now, Russell Wilson is by far and away an upgrade from what they had in Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. Let's face it, Lock couldn't even beat out Geno Smith for Seattle. So we all know there's an upgrade there. And we know what Russell did in Seattle with a pretty good offense surrounding him. And yes, offensive-minded coach that Russell Wilson has now should help the offense perform well and let Russ cook. I also think this new head coach and with the new quarterback, from the sounds of what people close to the organization say, there's a lot that looks different in how that coach and quarterback operate. There's a lot reported on that things go through Russell Wilson a lot more than they go through their head coach. Typically, decisions that are handled by a coach gotta pass through Russell Wilson first in Denver. You don't see this in teams that are very successful. Andy Reid, he will use Patrick Mahomes and he will get his say in it, but it goes through Reid. Good coaches are the key. I'm not saying Denver's coach isn't good, but he hasn't proven it yet. I am also not anti-player. I'm not saying that players should not have some sort of say. But in the NFL, this is not the NBA. The NFL is not a player-ran league. It's a ran league. And that means it's coach-ran. So player-ran things, they don't go far very often. I'm not taking the bet on a first-two head coach and a quarterback that's in a brand-new situation in a very, very loaded division. They're going to overtake teams that have more stability and have had success. Mahomes and Reid is still there. Justin Herbert's still there. Brandon Staley with Herbert. I'm not willing to say Denver is there. Not because they look so on paper. That's number 2. And these get spicier. Number 3, bold prediction number 3. I also alluded to this one earlier. That Tennessee Titans, they will place 3rd in the AFC South. What is wrong about the offseason in Tennessee? They traded away A.J. Brown. While they drafted a guy that's supposed to be his replacement, that guy's not been living up to what A.J. Brown does. Not in training, not in preseason. He's gotten better, yes. But he is not the one-for-one replacement for A.J. Brown. Treylon Burks is not that player yet. I'm not going to come out here and say that Burks will just replace what A.J. Brown does. Also, are we sure Henry gets that load that he's had in the past? Is he able to handle that? I'm not going to come out here and question him because I can't do that. And I'm not even going to try to do that. That guy is one of a kind. He is a generational talent. I will give him that credit. He deserves that. Far and away, he deserves that. But when Henry went down, Tennessee was not the same team. I understand they had the best record. They were the 1 seed. But when push came to shove, and when it was all on the line, they couldn't do it. I don't think Tennessee got better. I see the Colts, they take a huge step forward. Matt Ryan, they have Jonathan Taylor. That offense and defense are really good. I see them winning the division. But for the surprise, I see the Jags taking a leap forward, jumping ahead of Tennessee and finishing 2nd in that division. Number 4. This is going to get a lot of hate from people because we don't talk about this. Why would we talk about this? But I'm going to talk about this. The Green Bay Packers don't make the playoffs this year. That's my 4th bold prediction. And that one's very, very bold. Who would say that, though? Why am I being this crazy and saying an Aaron Rodgers-led team misses out on the playoffs? They lost Davante Adams. I don't see them as having a clear number 1. Is Allen Lazard? Is he ready? Can he be ready? We hope so. The rookies, are they ready? Well, Romeo Doubs has outplayed Christian Watson so far this year, and that's partially because Watson's been dealing with injuries, but Watson was drafted to be that up. I'm not so sure he will, at least not this year. Are they going to rely on Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon? Is all that they have to rely on? I get it. Aaron Rodgers is one of the elites at quarterback. Rodgers does not have the same drive and determination that Tom Brady does. And he is getting older. Eventually, father time comes. If football is not the priority, it's going to fall off sooner than later. It happens to everybody. But I see this being a long year for Packer fans. And finally, last bold prediction we got this year, for this episode. And again, these are team level across the league bold prediction, not player levels. Those will come later. But the 5th and final prediction. The Eagles will have the number 1 seed in the NFC this year. They made the playoffs last year. They also had a very weak receiving corps last year. Outside of Devontae Smith, do you even want to name a wide receiver that Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball to? No. Why? I don't even think they're in the league anymore. Their second best receiving option was a tight end last year. Or a running back. And they had a starting running back that didn't score any touchdowns. So what did Philadelphia do? They got a whole bunch of draft picks this year. They also used those draft picks to get more next year, and they also got some weapons this year. They added A.J. Brown. They added a guy that they know can help their quarterback and their receiving core. They're taking a step forward. Now, they have to prove it for themselves, but this team is ready for Jalen Hurts to take that step forward. Prove it to the team and themselves that he is able to lead that team, that they control the NFC East. But this year that they control the NFC, that the road to the Super Bowl in the NFC should go through Philadelphia once again. So there you have it. 5 very bold predictions. And I might be wrong on all 5. You know what? That's great. Maybe I made them too bold. It's okay. I'll be bold. Again, as we are in the frenzy of draft season, if you want to take part in a Vampire League this year, email vampireleaguesff@gmail.com. Get signed up before football season. I will be back for fantasy football player bold predictions and sleepers. As we finish up our draft season, we want as many sleepers, as many bold predictions as we can get. Until next time, Vampire Nation.